Experimental Aircraft Association. We are a community of aviation enthusiasts that work to support recreational flying. Late 1950s, early 1960s, the organization first came into existence. We haven't been here in St. Cloud that long. The organization is based in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Our mission is really to promote aviation and also to preserve aviation history. What we do with this particular plane, it's a World War II bomber, a B-17. We take it on tour around the country every year, starting in about April, flying into November to 40 to 60 different airports across the U.S. And our purpose really is to let people connect with history, to really give them the chance to understand what it was like for the guys who actually flew these planes in World War II.
My name is Sean Neckerbacher. I'm one of the pilots with the EAA's aluminum overcast B-17, and we're here on tour, and we're flying around in many airports throughout the Midwest, and this is our last stop prior to we take the airplane back to Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
It's really a flying museum and a piece of history, and we fly it to as a museum and in honor of the servicemen and women that in World War II.
This airplane was made in May 18th of 1945. It never saw any combat duty. It was just about ready to go overseas when the war ended, and it's a G model. So, and then it was sold to a civilian operator who used it to transport cattle, and they used it to spray ants, fire ants down in the southeast out of Dothan, Alabama. And then the airplane was acquired in the early 80s by a donation, and they decided to get it flying and get it all back to the original qualifications and replica. So that's what we have right now.
The crewmen had electrically heated gloves, electrically heated suits, because at that altitude it can be 30 degrees below zero or colder. It's extremely cold temperatures, and they also needed to have their own oxygen at that altitude because the aircraft was not pressurized. It was used mainly for bombing runs from England to Germany.
Just under 13,000 airplanes were produced for World War II. Out of that, there's only 13 left flying. So this is one of 13 flying, so those odds aren't real good. But we support the aircraft, and all the members of EAA and all the general public that support it, we greatly would appreciate it.
The plane flies from place to place. Typically the pilots and the mechanics fly with the aircraft. We have 2 trucks and trailers that follow. One is the maintenance truck. It has all of our tools, our spare parts, and a large quantity of oil, because these old radial engines actually burn a bit of oil as well as gas. The other truck is our rolling office and our merchandise center. We sell t-shirts and hats and pins, and everything that we make on this tour, including the money from the flights that we sell, the money from the ground tours we sell, the money from the merchandise, all goes into keeping this airplane flying. As soon as we are wheels off the ground, the crew chief gives the signal for everyone to unbuckle and move around. We want people to be able to see every part on this aircraft. People who fly with us get the ability to sit in the bombardier's seat in the nose, walk all the way through the plane, walk through the bomb bay, take pictures everywhere.
We're just honored. We had many veterans come out that had a role in World War II, and it's just such a joy to talk to them and be able to hear firsthand from the greatest generation.
Wherever we go this weekend, I can't imagine a better time than to be on the road with a World War II bomber than the 4th of July weekend, because this plane helps epitomize what we're all about as a nation and defending freedom, tying into the stories of all the people who built the planes, maintained the planes, flew the planes, the ones who survived and the ones who didn't. Our purpose is to keep that story alive, to help people connect with what that time was and what it was like in the skies over Europe, in the skies in the Pacific.
UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. Visit utvsnews.com for all of your local news.
University Television Station, local TV for the Granite City. Student run at St. Cloud State with local news, local sports, and local entertainment. On UTVS Charter Channel 21 and online at utvs.com. UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Stay connected with UTVS News and find us on Facebook and Twitter. Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
And those years we had those simulators. You wanted to fly an airplane, you got in, took it off, and found out what it did. I did too.
Insert the slot into the tang there, pull that back. You want to hear that click, that tells you that you've got it down in there.
I used to dive in on the B-17, so it was great to be on I was at the left seat a lot to fly the airplanes, and they dive in at us.
I'm a navigator.
The Bombay on my little chair, so I laid the Bombay, and they waited until I was sound asleep, and then they started doing this, and I'm flying in the air, and I hit everything I hang on to, everything is falling on me. And I said I was the first woman in space. I thought they made an awful lot of noise. But once I got used to the noise, I loved to fly in that big airplane.
Pilot, co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, and waist gunners and turret gunners and things of that nature. And bomb loads, they usually carried 500-pound general-purpose bombs, as many as 10, and sometimes many as 15. But then they had to reduce the fuel load. It'd take them almost an hour to get to altitude to 25,000 feet. There was no heat in the airplane either, no oxygen. They had to wear suits, warming suits, and also oxygen masks. They'd go over to Germany, they'd fly 4, 5, 6 hours, drop their bombs, and then, you know, naturally they were attacked by the Luftwaffe and flak from the ground and late in the war till they got the P-51 Mustang came on board, which gave them the fighter protection.
How was it, Betty? Oh, that was
I hope you enjoyed it. Huh? Did you enjoy it?
bless you. It was a thrill.
You bet.
Thank you for your service.
Oh, it was wonderful. I was lucky. I was so lucky they could let me fly airplanes. B-17, B-36. It was wonderful.
You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News, weekdays at 5 and 6.
Will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
UTVS News in Espanol, the only Spanish newscast in Minnesota, right here on UTVS. Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
It was such a pleasure. It brought back so many wonderful memories. I loved to fly in World War II. They let me fly B-17, B-26s, twin-engine bomber. I flew a little fighter plane. It was the P-39, the Bel Air Cobra. And those years we had no simulators. You wanted to fly an airplane, you got in, took it off, and found out what it did. I did too. The fighter plane I flew, he was telling me what to do. You see, that was the tricycle landing gear, and I'd been flying the tail draggers. It made a little difference in landing. And so the instructor said, well, he was a buddy of mine. He said, well, you don't have to worry about it. It was just landing. I didn't know when to pull back the stick because the wheel was in front and not in the back. So I said, the only thing that bothers me is when I'm supposed to brake to land. He said, don't worry, I've got the radio here and I'll keep in contact with you. I said, okay. Well, we get up and we did so many wonderful things. Oh, it was just wonderful. I just loved to fly that aircraft, and I was all by myself. So he was talking to me on the radio. And I did all kinds of acrobatics. I found out later you weren't supposed to do it to see P-39. Nobody told me I couldn't. You see, I used to dive in on the B-17, so it was great to be I was in the left seat a lot to fly the airplanes, and they'd dive in at us. Yeah. But I liked the diving in better, so I decided I should be a fighter pilot. Yeah, for me it was love at first flight. I was working at the local courthouse, and a young man would come up and he kept talking about flying. And as a kid, I'd always like to climb high and, go swinging in the trees and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, oh boy, flying, I could get above it all. So I said, gee, I'd like to go flying. So he brought me out to the local airport, and this young man said he always gave people rides. He'd go up about 5,000 feet into a stall, into a spin, and then look around and they'd say down. And so we went around and had a spin, and he turned around and looked at me, and I said, one more time. After 10 more times, he didn't look around anymore. He landed the airplane. And he said, you know, whatever you do, you got to take up flying. You're the only one that's made me sick. I made everybody else sick. And so that was love at first sight. It was a wonderful, wonderful time to fly airplanes. And it was so great. If we got lost, we could go down and read the roadside, find out what the name of the town was, get the map out and find out where we were. And then get back to where we had to go. Yes, because many, in fact, after I got out of the service, I had a nice, wonderful jacket too, with a B-17 in the back, and they'd always say, oh, your husband was a B-17 pilot. No, he wasn't. I'm a B-17 pilot. Nobody believed me, but I didn't care. I knew what I had done. I'll tell you what happened one time. We used to, on Sundays, we would check out the B-17 and go on flights around the country, around Arizona and California. And one time, I had, I told the pilot, I'm a little tired. I'm going to lay in the bomb bay and have a little rest. So, as soon as I lay down the bomb bay, I fell sound asleep, and the fellow started going like this, and I said I was the first woman in space. I'd hang on to things on the side, and they'd come tumbling down on me. And they laughed, they thought that was funny. But it was a wonderful time to fly airplanes. There weren't all the restrictions there are today. Yeah. I had a good time flying. It was a wonderful flight. It brought back a lot of beautiful memories for me, and I'm so appreciative to the EAA and all the people involved to do what they did for me to get me in this plane. It means an awful lot to me to do this today. And I thank you all for doing what you do. God bless.
Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
University Television Station, local TV for the Granite City. Student run at St. Cloud State, with local news, local sports, and local entertainment. On UTVS Charter Channel 21 and online at utvs.com. UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
UTVS News in Espanol, the only Spanish newscast in Minnesota, right here on UTVS.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
UTVS News in Espanol, the only Spanish newscast in Minnesota, right here on UTVS. You're watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City.
Well, I went in at 18 and I was flying combat at 19, so I was the baby of the crew. I mean, I was the youngest guy. The other guys were older, and they kind of looked after me too, keep me out of trouble and stuff. Yeah. So every crew member had a crack at the stick. I had a half hour flying, and I thought, well, they're missing out on a hot pilot here. And I get back and talk to the crew in the back, and they said it's the roughest damn ride I ever had, so I guess I wasn't so hot after all. I took my gunnery training in Kingman, Arizona, and my crew training in Tampa Bay, Florida, MacDill Field, and then we were stationed in Molesworth, England. I was with the 303rd Bomb Group, And our group flew 369 missions, more missions than any other group. But of course, I only flew 25. The war was over with. So the guys before us had it a lot rougher than I did. So, but it was no piece of cake though at my time. So, yeah, you kneeled in front of the down here. You squatted down. There's a little pad in there that you would straddle with your knees. You'd be kind of sitting on your heels, and then the guns were here. And in our training, they taught us to take the gun apart and put it back together. If you had trouble with it, you could repair it yourself. And never had to do it, but we had the training to do it. So, and the gun is, you reached around for the gun, you know, and that was about it for the tail. In the ball, you're pretty well, you can see how you're pretty well curled up, but you had full 360-degree rotation, and then you had the full 90 down that you could spin. You could get any position in between there, and they had, I don't know what they call, I call them cutouts, but there's another name for them. So they wouldn't shoot your props off when you swung around that way. And I had on the flak suits, they had a little apron. You couldn't wear a flak suit or take a parachute in the ball. So they had this little apron that you would, on the flak suits. I took mine off and sat on it in the ball. Well, I got hit with a piece of flak, but it didn't get through the flak suit. And it left a little bruise on my butt, but we flew 369 missions. I didn't fly, you know, I only flew a 25, but the group flew 369, more than any other group in the 8th Air Force. And I got to be, I don't know where I started, but I got to be in on a 300th mission, and I got to be in on a 369th. So for me, it was kind of a personal, what do you call it, gain or whatever. So I looked for anybody that I might have known. They had a list of guys around, and I looked for, and nobody I knew. There were other crews we dealt with, and there's nobody. I mean, just me. You know, I was the only survivor. They were all the other crew members were already dead before the reunion. So.
Watching UTVS, local TV for the Granite City. UTVS News in Espanol, the only Spanish newscast in Minnesota, right here on UTVS.
This is the navigation briefcase I carried with me on all my missions overseas. And in it are the navigator's tools, the plotter, and the computer, we call this little instrument. This side is basically a circular slide rule. This part rotates so you can do mathematics, and it was used primarily for time, rate, and distance problems. For example, if you're going 180 knots for 18 minutes, how far will you go? Well, I could do that on here in, well, seconds. I won't do it now, it's too hard to see it. Then this side, to see the major problem for a navigator is compensating for wind, because wind, of course, makes you drift off course. And this side, this turns here, and this is used to solve that problem. So if you know what the wind is and you know what course you want to go, this will tell you what direction to point the airplane to go that way. So this is almost invaluable when you're navigating. They still use them today.
You ever get lost?
Temporarily confused, never lost. And then there's a couple other instruments in here that...
Are those newspapers in there?
All right, just a second. This is another of the instruments. This is used with a map to get directions, courses and so forth. And this is an actual log that I kept on one of the flights. We ferried a B-17 from Hunterfield, Georgia to New Guinea in about 7 or 8 flights, one each day. And these are the logs I kept on that ferry mission. This particular one was from Canton Island to Tarawa Atoll. And that was the 9th of December. And the flying time was 5 hours and 20 minutes. And this is the crew, and inside are all the details of the speed, time, speed, air, wind, all that. So you kept one of these on every mission, a log. I was fortunate enough to have a headset on. I was right up behind the pilots, so I could listen to the pilots do their engine run up. And there's one part of it I can remember. They go, one of them says left, and then they check the magneto. Right, they check the magneto. Both, and they check the magneto, then they go to the next end. When I heard that, it was just, because see, it's been 70 years since I've flown in a military airplane. So that brought back a lot of memories. And just hear them talk with the tower and the takeoff instructions, that was all old stuff. A lot of memories came back.
Where it looks like 2 volleyballs. That's called the sight head. And that's where all the really intricate part of it is. And that lifts off. So like in training, we never left that sight head in the airplane because it was top secret stuff.